Hello, and welcome to the Disaster of Puppets YouTube channel. Today I thought I'd take the opportunity to provide some updates on some of the projects I've been working on. So we've got three main projects here. The automated puppet mouth mech. The idea is that the mouth will move with sound activation. The second is becoming the brain of my existence, which is the gargoyle animatronic. And lastly, we're looking at a Grim Reaper type puppet. So we'll start off by having a look at the gargoyle animatronic, and for that we'll start back at the design stage. Now I had an idea of what I wanted this to look like in my head, but getting that to paper isn't always that easy, especially when you have the drawing skills of a small child. I was able to do some Google image searches to get a bit of an idea on some of the looks that I wanted, and then provide these to the artist, who was able to create a 3D model for me. So looking at the LEDs and smoke effects, the intention was to always have the horns light up, the eyes light up, and of course the smoke coming out of the nose. In this video you can see I've painted the white PLA black just so I can get a seal on the light and see how that smoke's affected. I wasn't exactly happy with the amount of light that was coming out, so this has been redesigned. The smoke effect itself is achieved by using a vape, some vegetable glycerin, and a breast pump. There's an awesome tutorial on how to do this online, so I'll leave some links below. Oh, the eyes and the blinker mech. What can I say but you piece of shit, I hate you. This has probably been my most worked on part from this gargoyle. I've redesigned it about 30 times, and that's not exaggerating. The most challenging part was getting the eyelids to work. I don't have a lot of room, and they still need to be thin enough that the eyeballs can move, but strong enough so I'm not repairing them every 10 minutes. A further complication was making sure that the eyelids could blink individually. On top of that, I also had a lot of time spent on getting the eyes to work properly. Initially, I just had them moving left to right, but I knew in my heart that I wanted them to move up and down as well, because I'm anal. So to enable the eyes to move left to right, up and down, and the angles in between, I've used a universal joint. The pivot point is placed exactly in the middle if the eye were a full sphere. Using the universal joint allows me to make two connections to the eyeballs, one controlling up and down and one controlling left and right. Moving the servo away from the head should hopefully reduce noise. So you can see the current design in the above images where I've used Bowden tubing and wiring to connect the servos, and yeah, fingers crossed because I haven't tested this yet. So moving on to the body and the wings, in this video you can see a couple of prototypes that I was just testing. Again, they're using a cable pulley system, and you can see here a cross section of how they all fit together. So in the prototype I just used a cotton for the wing. I was thinking of using latex, but my concerns are that it could stick to itself when the wing's in the down position, or when I'm traveling with it, that it's just not going to hold up to the abuse. So if anyone's got any suggestions on some material I could use, right, that would be awesome. Now of course, because the body's so big it wouldn't print all at once, so I've had to split it up into several different parts. When I tried gluing all the parts together, I was using an epoxy, and it was a cheap epoxy, or I didn't mix it properly. So that's why you could see all these things on the back of it kind of crumbling off. There's a lot of body work to do, let's just put it that way. This was the initial design to make the head turn. I'm going to change this because of course I need to thread the Bowden tubes through for the iMech. Leave this part with me, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. Surprisingly, the mouth mech was actually pretty straightforward. The only things I had to do were upgrade the servos so it had a bit more pull. You can see the wire bending here, but in the final design the Bowden tube will go all the way through. On top of that, I may not need the rubber bands to return it to its main position, so yeah, pretty straightforward. When I stream on Twitch, I use characters I've created in Adobe Character Animator. Problem I'm seeing is that there's quite a lot of frames that seem to be dropped and they don't feel exactly natural. So the puppet mouth mech is designed so that I can give it an audio input and the mouth will move automatically. I've gone through a few designs. In my final design, I've put a plate on top of the mouth and one underneath. They both have gaps to allow you to put leather in for your finger straps so that when it's not connected to the pole, you can use it as a manual puppet. Connecting it to the main puppet is as easy as sliding the pole down onto the bolts and using a couple of wing nuts to tighten it. Again, I'm using a Bowden tube and some wire that attaches to the servo. That way I don't have to worry about the amount of room that's in the head. I can also relocate the servo further away from the puppet. I'm currently using a 1532 8D servo. So I've had this working and then it stopped working and I'm having nothing but trouble with the Arduino. My biggest issue is trying to get a clean audio signal and movement of the servo. What seems to be happening is I'm getting ghosts, so occasionally the puppet will start talking by itself. This is something that's an ongoing issue and I'm going to have to investigate further. And now onto the Reaper puppet. Basically, it's a simple idea. I've purchased a lot of stuff off eBay. So skull plus cloak plus hands equals Reaper. I wanted to get a flame effect on the eyes. I printed it out to my balls and I'm using fast LED, but in the first one I wasn't happy. In the second one where I got rid of the eyeballs, I am happy. So I'm going to have to grind some of the skull down so I can put the LEDs under that. The biggest issue I'm going to have with this is trying to figure out how to get the hands working. Now I do have plastic hands, but the idea is I want to get him to be able to move the fingers automatically so he can point as if signaling someone is next on the list. That's going to be the fun bit. And if you've made it this far, thank you very much. You can usually catch me on Twitch, Disaster of Puppets. Feel free to pop in and ask any questions or just talk the usual BS that we do over there. Don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe and do all that nonsense. Is that what the kids still do? Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Bye. And bro, do not forget to follow me on Twitter, bro, because I've got some stuff that's coming up and I will tweet on them.